Welcome back to the Book of Hustle, where every video takes you deeper into the money game. Today's video is about a secret that billionaires use to scale their empires: debt versus equity. Most people are scared of debt and confused about equity, but the wealthy play these tools like chess masters. By the end of this episode, you'll understand exactly how billionaires fund their businesses and how you can use the same playbook on your own hustle. The common man's fear of debt. For the average person, debt is a nightmare. Credit card bills, student loans, car payments. Debt feels like chains around the neck. But here's the twist. Billionaires see debt as leverage, not prison. While most people use debt to buy things that lose value, billionaires use debt to acquire things that create value. They borrow to invest, not to consume. The equity mindset equity, on the other hand, is ownership. When you sell equity, you're trading pieces of your company for money. That's how startups raise millions without a single dollar in profit. But here's the catch. Equity is expensive. Every share you sell means giving up future profits and control. Billionaires know that equity is powerful for raising capital, but dangerous if you give away too much too soon. Why billionaires love debt? Debt has a bad reputation, but it can be the cheapest money in the world. Why? Because you borrow at interest rates far lower than the returns a strong business can generate. Imagine borrowing at 5% interest and building a company that returns 20%. The difference is pure wealth. That's why billionaires like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos often take on massive loans to fuel growth instead of selling too much equity. They'd rather pay the bank interest than give up control. The equity power play. But don't get it twisted. Equity still plays a major role. Billionaires use equity when they need partners, when they want to bring in expertise, or when the risk is too high to shoulder alone. Think of Mark Zuckerberg. He sold equity early on to investors who gave Facebook the fuel to grow globally, but he kept enough ownership to stay in control. That's the art of the equity power play. Take the money, but don't lose the throne. The hybrid model. The truth is, billionaires rarely choose between debt or equity. They blend them. They raise equity in the early stages when the business is risky, then shift to debt once the company has cash flow. This way, they minimize dilution of ownership while still accessing the capital they need. It's not about one versus the other. It's about using the right tool at the right stage of growth. Tax secrets of debt. Here's a chapter nobody tells you. Billionaires love debt because it's a tax weapon. Interest payments on loans are tax deductible, meaning they reduce taxable income. Equity, on the other hand, doesn't give you tax breaks. That's why the ultra-wealthy load their businesses with smart debt. It lowers taxes, fuels growth, and builds wealth at the same time. The risk game. Of course, debt isn't free money. If your business fails, you still owe the bank. That's why billionaires are strategic. They borrow against assets, diversify revenue streams, and structure deals so the downside risk is limited. Equity spreads the risk to investors, but costs you ownership. Billionaires balance risk like tightrope walkers, leaning on debt when they have confidence, leaning on equity when the future is uncertain. Lessons for the hustler. So what's the takeaway for you? If you're starting small, equity might come in the form of partnerships, splitting profits with someone who brings money or skills. Debt could be a business loan or even using credit wisely to buy inventory or equipment. The key is simple. Never use debt for liabilities, only for assets. And if you give away equity, make sure it buys you speed, resources, or connections that you couldn't get alone. At the end of the day, billionaires don't fear debt and they don't abuse equity. They use both like tools in a toolbox, strategically, deliberately, and always with long-term control in mind. That's the real difference between how the wealthy fund their businesses and how the average person struggles with money. This was another powerful chapter in the Book of Hustle. If this opened your eyes to the billionaire mindset, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone chasing financial freedom. Remember, money is just a tool, but the way you use it decides if you stay broke or build an empire.